Hello, everybody, and welcome to 38 Weeks to Go. Today we have an interview with Mr. 100 himself, Bwana G, manager of team, Hans Gruber. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's an honor being on your show. As I had mentioned to you personally, that I was eventually going to be on this show, and here I am.
Yeah, you are a man of your word, clearly.
Yeah.
So, congratulations. 100 points. You're the first one in our group to reach 100 points. So, well done on breaking that barrier.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was expected. It's been a good start to the fantasy season. I'm hoping to maintain that hot streak.
Oh, well, I hope it continues. You know, in the
Mhm.
podcast, over the last 2 weeks, I mentioned that you were the one who got 100 points and you were the one who
Yeah,
had Sterling in your team. So
yeah.
I've been noticing that you make very interesting decisions. You seem to be ahead of the curve. I want you to tell us, how did you do it? What were you thinking? How did you get to 100 points?
Okay, my first approach is previously I would watch highlights of each past game. And if I'm extremely intrigued about a player with how they're performing, I'd be like, okay, let me make a judgment call here. Should I just pick this guy based on one game, or should I pick him based on how he's been performing from the start? I don't use any fantasy scout things. It's just gut feelings.
Oh, so you just go with your gut.
I go with my gut based on performance. And also, yeah, there'll be a few key moments or key statements pointed out by the commentators. They would mention a few stats, and then you'd be like, hey, maybe this guy, this is his week coming up. And also, there's also previous history of fantasy, of course. You have to look at their
Ah,
performances over the years. Yeah.
when you say the commentators give you random stats, could you give us an example of one of these stats?
They would say, let's say Saka has never scored from outside the box against this team. The Premier League is just full of stats, especially considering they use OptaStats. If you have an opportunity to join OptaStats, of course, there's a subscription fee, but anyway, if you're a serious punter, you'd understand the value of stats when it comes to football.
Oh, so you're a stats guy.
Oh, yeah, stats are important. The gut feeling comes when you've seen a live game, but when it comes to previous history, many guys say, no, history is history, but we have to look in the past to understand a player. I mean, we don't watch these games, we don't meet these players. All we have to do is go by the numbers. It's the only
Okay.
way to know definitively, okay, maybe this guy this week is looking strong. This guy maybe might have a strong chance, or this guy doesn't play well against this team. So now you look at the stats, then you also go with your gut. Because also stats alone don't mean anything.
Okay. Wow. So that means you're subscribed to Opta then, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hey, I can see you're not joking
Yeah.
around.
No. I remember mentioning this to you once. If I'm going to join fantasy, it has to be for a reason. I'm going in hot. I'm coming in hot. I have to be prepared. You don't go into battle without preparation. That'll just be a blunder.
Aha. I swear, people play fantasy differently. It's so interesting to hear this. So now tell me, I've looked at
Mhm.
your team over the last 3 weeks, and I've noticed you've used the chips being like the wild card, the triple captain, the bench boost, the free hit.
Yeah.
I can see you're not messing around. You're just going all in from the get-go.
Yes. Yeah. I'm all in because what I've noticed, even with the past, I've just been looking at the data. As long as you take an early lead down the road, that will count for something. You can make those transfers every week, limited to a certain amount, of course, not too excessively. However, if you play it safe from the get go, you'll be lagging behind by January. And once that's done, once someone has a lead of like even 100 points, you have no chance of catching up unless you get lucky and hit 200 points, which is unheard of. Unless there's a double game week, then you get triple captain, then you get everything in your arsenal to work in a span of 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
So you are of
Mhm.
the approach, you just sprint.
Try and get ahead. At least be a pacemaker, but don't lag behind, because sometimes, as we have all experienced, luck doesn't go your way. Like game week, was it two?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was game week two, where I think someone had mentioned to me that have you changed your team? And I was like, oh no, I was late. I was close to my phone, and I'd realized it was like 8:30
Is that the
and
week
time
when
was
you
up.
had Mitoma and
Yeah,
Estupinian on the bench?
at 20 something points on the bench, and I realized it was too late. So I had to watch while people were there just cheering themselves on and saying, "Yeah, what a great game week!" And I'm just behind you, and I know I would have beaten you if it wasn't just for that little error. At least you, I know you're one of them.
Yeah, definitely. With those
Yeah,
20 points, that's why I was leader of game week 3.
yeah. And imagine with those 20, where I would have been having this discussion back to back.
That's true. Because like Tune,
Yeah,
you seen Tune got leader for number 1 and number 2 game week.
yeah. In fact, second and third would have been mine if it wasn't for that little
Okay.
silly
Well,
error.
it just means that we'll be talking more often.
Yeah. I want to make it a habit. We just
But
have to make right decisions and also watch on that transfer, that transfer button. Now that the good thing is that now I know I don't have those extras at my disposal. You know, I don't have what is it called? The hit, the
the
free
chips.
hit. Yeah, I don't have those chips now. Now I have to play smart. And that also limits you to your options. That means if you don't play smart, you lose out. But
Okay.
that also mean you can make very, very, very unusual changes to your roster that people don't expect. Because
Yeah, I
the
mean,
key
I've seen
thing is,
that you had Sterling early, and
yeah,
I'm seeing that you're going to be having some of these players who we are yet to see perform.
yes. But for me, I'll only give them maximum 3 game weeks. If you don't perform in three, third strike, you're out.
Done.
There's no time to hold hands with players here.
Out of curiosity, are you supporting any team in the Premier League?
Um, right now, I don't know, because first of all, if you look at even the current rosters or even the teams, the game has really changed because we don't have as many strikers as we used to. So, it's also dependent on midfielders, style of play, how people approach the game. And let's just say it's not the 90s, it's not the 2000 era with Henry, Van Nistelrooy, and the rest.
Yeah.
You might say it's slightly a bit more challenging, but I won't lie. I'm not a big Premier League team supporter. Back then, the games were a bit more interesting. These days, it's a bit more predictable.
Hmm.
Because now, if you're going to go against Man City, you know they're going to win. It's just annoying. That's
Yeah,
why everyone has Haaland as captain. Yeah, it's predictable. It's annoying. And if
they're a
they
well-oiled machine.
exactly, so it's one of those things that you want Liverpool to do well, but you see guys on the field, you're like, what's happening with this team? They were performing once well, now it's over. Next, you look at Chelsea. Chelsea, it's like they're trying to buy as many midfielders as possible. They don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
And I feel bad for Pochettino, for example. He's a guy who's always worked with what he has, but now he doesn't even seem to know what to work with.
he's got too many
And
tools.
yeah, too many tools. In fact, here, the people in his kitchen, even the cleaners have come. Dishwashers have joined him in the managing. It's crazy. Too many cooks. It's so annoying. And then now the other teams you think are going to perform don't. Tottenham, Arsenal, they're good to watch, but like their fans, they always getting ahead of themselves, and then they don't know where they end up. Then they'll say next year for the next 10 years again.
Okay.
I'm guessing it'll be another 30 years before they win the league. So to answer your question, it's a bit too predictable now. We know City. If you don't beat City on your like home games, then you don't have a chance because you're not beating them at their digs. That
Okay.
doesn't happen.
No, the reason I was
Yeah.
asking this is I wanted to
Yeah.
know if you had any bias towards a team or maybe certain players. Like,
Oh, no, no, no. If this was La Liga fantasy, we all know the answer to that question. Ala Madrid.
so your
Yeah,
heart
yeah.
is not swayed in
Nah,
this league.
no, that's why the good thing is, of course, it's fun to watch and it's
Hmm.
fun to see other people squirming when their teams are losing. That's the fun part. But
Mm.
invested, not so much. It's just for the love of the game. Yeah,
Okay.
that's just it. Yeah,
Now I'm looking at your team and I'm seeing that you have Highland captain. Of course, that is a very wise decision.
yeah,
And somehow you're one of the only people who has Trent, and that was a really big differential in your team.
yeah. So, as I'd mentioned a few minutes ago, this was his last appearance in this team because I took a gamble. I was like, look, if you're going to put a defender who assists, put one that is tried and tested. We already have a Stupinian. He always gets week in, week out, he's been getting it. So I couldn't
Yeah.
drop him. All I was thinking about was this week, a guy who's tried and tested and who's playing at home. That's the most important part. You see?
Also, you believe home players perform better than
Oh,
away
yeah, in
players?
front of their fans, especially fullbacks, because fullbacks are the ones closest to the fans. But if you didn't know that, they're always closest to the fans taking throw-ins, so they are likely motivated more. And that assist will always come depending on the style of play. And of course, Liverpool, Trent is the lead assist of the team. Other than Salah, it's
That's true.
always Trent. Yeah. Then as to Pinian, if you watch Brighton games, it's right there. You don't even need to think so far. Any other players, not so sure. I've been noticing centre backs have been scoring a lot of headers. This season, it's a thing of luck when it comes to centre backs. You can't say, oh, I know whoever is going to score. No, no. I mean, who scored last week for West Ham? What's his name? Zuma.
Zuma.
Zuma scored like 2 goals his whole career in West
Yeah,
Ham.
centre
So
backs is
what are the
tough.
odds? Yeah, so those ones you can't say start unless you have that critical stat telling you this guy always scores against this team. Then at home or away, depending on the situation.
Okay,
But
so
this
would you
week I
say
went to
that when you're
yeah,
building your team, when you're looking at your defenders, you look for wing backs who assist? And
yeah, yes, 100. Because even though they don't get a clean sheet,
uh-huh.
they'll get points.
And
That's
your
very
preference
important.
is that they play at home.
It's a good thing for them to play at home, but some of them tend to surprise you and you get assists away from home. But for that to happen, you also have to pick a wing back from a strong team that's also attacking. It can't be a defensive team, then you put a defensive wing back and they're not going to cross or they're not going to move forward or go down the flanks. It doesn't make sense. So you put a team that plays attacking football. It would be a good thing to put those assisting players during home games. If they surprise you on away games, well and good. You'd want to do that for Man City every week, but we all know Pep is like the rotation master.
Oh
That guy
yeah, he
cannot
frustrates me.
keep. Yeah, it's very annoying. That's why I have no City defender at all.
Out of
That's the reason.
curiosity,
Yeah.
how do you feel about Gabriel? I see he's still in your team. How do you feel about Arteta's Pep imitation with Gabriel?
Yeah, it's very strange because the first season he was his own man. He was doing everything. Yes, he'd learned a few nuggets from his previous boss,
Mm,
but this season he's trying to do what Pep always does. If you have a formula that's working and you know it works, why are you trying to change something that's working? Unless there's something, I don't know, behind closed doors, but it's
mm.
not making sense. First of all, try what happened last season. If it fails, then you make adjustments. You don't make adjustments based on nothing.
Yeah,
That's
no
just
preemptive
stupid.
changes for no reason. Huh?
Yeah, for no reason. That's why they've dropped points. That's the reason. It's nothing that you always do. Who did what? No, no, no. Oh, Timber. No. Timber would have come in second, like second half of his debut. Don't let him start just yet. Let these guys get a feeling of the Prem first. Get a feeling of the competition. Then once he gets comfortable, you slowly ease him in. The idea of you need to throw a guy who's established,
Mm,
a guy who's played, let's say, the Premier League for maybe 3 seasons. That's when you just drag and drop. But this
okay.
idea of trying to be too clever has burnt him. And if he keeps doing that,
Yeah.
that's top four. They'll really have to fight for it. It's not going to come easy like last season.
Okay. No, that makes sense. My
Hmm?
theory was that he's trying to prepare for Champions League and trying to find a way to rotate his teams. But now with all these injuries, it seems like he even
Eh,
won't be able to rotate anyone.
yeah, you see that now. That's what I'm talking about. You see, you have to know where a player's longevity stands. If it's someone who's tried and tested, they start. Then the other guys are the backups. It doesn't matter who they came from Ajax, but Holland is not England. England, they play more games. It's challenging. And if you're going to rotate, you do not start on a sour note. You see, he already put him in a tough position where he has to impress the fans. He has to play at that high tempo and the physicality. And how
Mm.
old is he? What, 20, 23, 22?
Who now?
Like Timber, for example. I'll give you an
Yeah, he's
example
a
of
young guy.
like that.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
around that age, 2023.
exactly. So, of course, these guys, these huge guys, Kina, Louis Dunk, all these Arjibaji guys, they're going to put you down. And if you're not ready to be hit, even though he wasn't really tackled and it seemed like he hurt himself, but you
Yeah.
could tell the pressure was there. So why
Mm.
don't you start with the Zinchenko, start with Gabriel, with Saliba, and White? Simple. Keep it simple. Why are you putting Thomas Partey in a position he's not comfortable?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. And you see now he's been punished for that. That's what happens.
You see,
Don't. Yeah,
my
carry
my
on. Sorry.
theory is that he was copying Pep. You know how Pep was putting Stones in
Exactly.
some weird position, and then he would end up being in the center midfield.
Yeah. Then you start complaining, why is this guy doing this? And I'm like, bro, you put him there, but you expect him to transform into a player he isn't. That doesn't. That guy's like Thomas Partey has never. That's a midfield player. Don't just
Mm.
put a guy in fullback just because he's black and you think he's strong. That's just useless now. It's just bogus managing. Yeah, sorry. There's some guys, if someone is versatile, sour. But that thing of just experimenting, not even halfway through the season where you know how your team has gelled, but in the beginning, thinking this is not fantasy football. You're paid to do this.
Yeah.
If you mess up, people will be on your neck. So you have
Mm.
to really trust. Now, this is where he's not trusting his gut. He's going back to now being that novice of, I don't know what I did last season, so let me try something new. No, no.
Imposter
In
syndrome, you
fact,
think?
yes, imposter syndrome has checked in. In fact, what I believe he should have done is actually put Timber in the Champions League selection. That would have been a better pick for me, in my
Okay.
opinion. Because Timber has seen more Champions League or European football than
Yeah.
Tomiyasu, than Sijui who, yeah. So it would have
No.
been smarter.
Okay.
You might find he's a better European player than Premier League player.
I mean, yeah, that makes
Just
sense. That's why you have a big squad. And now,
yeah, exactly.
speaking of a big squad, I'm looking at your squad here, and I'm seeing you had three Chelsea players: Gusto,
Yeah,
Sterling, and Jackson. Would it be fair
yes.
to say that these were your biggest underperformers of the weekend?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100. In fact, the big surprise was Jackson. I thought at least after scoring the previous week, he would follow up
The
with
gates are
another
open,
goal.
huh?
At least one. Yeah, because they were playing a weaker team.
They were.
You have no excuse. You have no excuse to draw. What was it, Luton? Which team were they playing?
Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, Nottingham, another team with a huge squad as well.
Oh yeah, they
But
signed seven
somehow,
people at the deadline.
it's crazy. These guys, it's like they're just waiting for everyone to finish their business. Then they swoop in and just get players.
It's
Ponyoka
crazy.
na pickup. Just a pickup and a players ndani. And that's exactly what happened. Unfortunately, now you see Jackson. This was his second time. You see, the first time he played,
Yeah.
he performed.
So
This
now,
time he didn't.
in fact, I've got a question. Now,
Yes.
about your squad selection. Now, like for example, Trent scored. And I mean, he did his job. He got you 12 points.
Yes.
So does
Yeah.
that earn him another 3 weeks?
Oh yes, yes. One he got 12 points. I think it wasn't either like that. Other than I think
Yeah, after
Zuma was
Haaland, he
the
was your
highest.
second best player.
Yeah, see, you see, that's earned. Performance based. This thing of just being in my team because you think I like you. No, no, you're out. Like now, Jackson, depending on the next game, which is next week, they are playing Bournemouth. You see, he has one more chance.
If
I'll
he,
give him one just because it's Bournemouth. But now, unfortunately, Chelsea conceding goals is not a good thing.
hmm,
However, this Gusto guy is very affordable. He balances the team.
yeah,
So
4.0,
removing,
or I guess 4.1 now.
yeah, yeah. So if I was to make a change, it would be a
Pricey.
bit rash. Yeah, it would be pricey for me. So I'll leave him. I'll wait for the game week because now I can see Trent picked up an injury,
Hmm,
which now also limits my selection. But I'll keep him in the team. I still have my option of Tete, the Fulham guy, who's also an attacking force in the flanks for Fulham.
yeah,
So in case before the next game week, I'll review Trent's position, the team's position. Is he going to start? But also this English fantasy is very annoying. Where you wait, then you find a guy's on the team sheet, and there was no news before. It's
yeah,
very
it's
annoying.
it's
So you
very
just
unpredictable.
yeah. But now knowing that Arsenal are playing this coming game week, this is where Gabriel comes in now
Also, he's
because
gonna come back
Everton.
into this starting lineup.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is going to be his saving grace because now,
Mm.
despite even though last week's game was exciting, I think against Everton have no one up front scoring goals.
You don't believe
No
in
one.
this new signing, Beto?
Nah, nah, nah. It's England. When you bring any Spanish, Brazilian, Portuguese guys, they take time to acclimate. I mean, look at my friend from Wolves.
Kukunya.
He gave me points last minute,
That's true. He scored
but
at the
at the,
death.
literally at the final whistle, that's when he gave me now those six. And I was like, okay, thank you, but your services are no longer needed. I'm not going to fall for that trap of you misperform, then I just give you another week, then you misperform again. Nah, nah, nah.
Okay,
You
wait.
have
So
to
you're
now
saying that even if he scored, he's not going to be in your team anymore?
no, because now he's run his course. 2 game weeks, he didn't score. Then on the last one, those are what we call, that's what I was talking about, a gut feeling.
Mm,
It's those ones he's setting you up for a trap. So you're like, Kumbe, this guy cashed out. No, 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 no. Because now, do you know what happened when I gave him a chance?
mm,
During my free hit, I had put Alvarez.
yeah.
I couldn't afford to bring him to the team because I was like, you know what?
Ah,
I'm bringing him next time. So let me leave the guys I have so I don't concede like too many transfer points deducted.
yeah, that makes
Then what
sense.
does Alvarez do? Goes and scores and assists. And I'm like, this guy. When I had him in my team, he gave me 2 points. What's wrong with this guy? So this is what I'm going to do. Now that he's performed when I'm not present, now that he's in my team, I'll leave him there. And he
Oh,
seems Alvarez and Pep and Haaland are
yeah.
the two consistent players in that team.
Okay.
I don't know if
Oh,
you've
so
noticed
you've
that.
already you've already brought Alvarez into your
Oh
team.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's already done. That's done.
You're not
That's
even waiting
done.
for
Yeah, yeah.
international break.
No, 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 no. In fact, if he gets injured, that's too bad. I still have a man by the name of. I've really underestimated this guy, Aoni. I'm not doing that again.
Oh, you have
He's in my
Oni.
team. Yes, yes, yes. I'm not
That
doing
is a
that.
good call. I have been crying about him this whole
Yeah,
month.
yeah. No, no, no. Every time because when he started, he was always on the bench. So I was like, what are the odds? This guy comes on, he scores. He comes on, he scores. And I'm like, no, no. Once bitten. No, no, no. Let's not do that.
Okay. So you trust in the
So
form of players.
yeah, because once your form picks up, you can get, let's say, 3 to 4 game weeks
Hmm.
from a player based on form.
Okay.
You
Yeah, that
can
makes
get
sense.
3 to 4 game weeks solid. Yeah. Anything more than that is a bonus. The only thing you can get for probably like 4 to 5 is a quality player like Haaland. You see, Haaland can go get 2-2, then get 20.
That's
That's
true.
he's the one. Yeah, he's the one you don't leave out. There's a reason why he's 14.
So what
I
you're
don't know if he's
saying is that
14.
Haaland is the only sure name
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
starting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In my team, actually, let me tell you, there are 3 players. Okay, 4. I'll give you the 4 players that I'll never remove from my team. One
Okay.
is Ederson, the keeper.
Yeah.
City keeper, that's my defender. Any Man City, any other Man City defender, I don't care. Because they don't even have a solid assist king. They keep swapping. Diaz will play today, next Kanji's. What's the other? The English, no, the Dutchman. What's the guy who dreads?
Okay.
Yeah, Ake comes, he scores a head. You're like, no, this is a headache. And they are all expensive. So now the next position in defense is Pavis, the
Mm,
Stupinian. Because him, let me just put him together with Mitoma. Actually, there are 5. There's Ederson, Estupinian, Mitoma, Saka,
mm-hmm.
because of strictly because somehow he always gets assists or goals and is the penalty taker.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
between him and
And
Odegaard, they seem
then,
to be rotating.
no, that was a mistake. In fact, the fans must have caused, even fantasy players must have sent tweets and said, well, let's behave. Odegaard, you stick to in game, in play, leave the penalties to Saka. Want him to be the top scorer. So that's 4. You see, Ederson, Estupinian, Mitoma, Saka, and of course, the 5th one is Haaland. Haaland is never, even though he gets injured, he'll stay in my team. Because bringing him back will be such a headache. You won't even, unless he's injured for like 3 months, that's different. But if it's like
Oh,
a
yeah, that's true.
2 weeks, fine, he'll stay. I'm not removing him.
Yeah, at his
Everyone
price,
else
it's
in
it's
that position,
immovable.
yeah, it's a bit tough. Now the bench players in that are new guys who are warming my heart are Madison. That's one.
Has he
I'd
come? Have you brought
wanted,
him already?
yeah.
Hey,
Whatever we're
you're
talking
not playing
about, this
around.
me, I'm not playing around. Then there's one person I want to bring, but unfortunately, since this league has become a midfielder's sport, there's no room. I like the man called the free kick king of England. We all know him.
James
Not Beckham.
Ward-Prowse.
Yes, that man is annoying because you want to put him, so it all depends on Sterling performing. If Sterling or Diaby, those two, because I have Diaby and Sterling. Those are the guys who are unsure of their positions.
So this
So
weekend will
they,
determine a lot. This next game week.
yes, it's Ward Prowse because he takes corners, he takes free kicks. The potential for assists are so high. Sterling doesn't do that. Diaby doesn't do that. So Mitoma is a given. That guy will always run. He'll always get bonus. He's just a solid buy. If Diamato is playing City, he'll get his 2, but somehow he always gets an assist. You don't know how he does it, but he gets one. Yeah.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm,
You know,
mm-hmm.
the Brighton team is my favorite team to watch so far this season.
Same here because they're so exciting now. Now that you mentioned Brighton, this Ferguson boy, it's a headache we do not need. It's a trap because okay, as long as they bench Welbeck, I'm good. But also the people who are already ahead of him have earned their spot. So it's for him to probably do it in 2 game weeks back to back. Then I will consider it.
And
Otherwise, let other people enjoy his services. For
and,
me,
and do you think Ansu Fati will complicate things?
now you're talking about another midfielder. I've just told you about the it's a midfielders league. I'm not even going to think about it. I like Ansu because I watched most of him in La Liga, and he was a problem, especially against Madrid. But for him, you see now he's come to a tougher league. It's more physical, and he's prone to get injured. So I'm not risking that now. I like him, but nah. And we don't know whether Achevi is going to give him a chance. Just is he ready? Is he fit yet? There are too many questions surrounding his presence. So I'll leave. Mitoma is my sure thing. He's the sure bet in that team.
Okay, no,
Him
that,
and
that
his
makes
stupid.
sense. By the way, now,
Um,
apart from Haaland,
mm,
you said you've got Alvarez.
yeah.
What would you do for the third striker? Who's your third striker now? Is it still Jackson?
No. That see, I've told you Awoni,
Oh,
and I've
yes,
removed
Awoniyi.
Jackson.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And your
I don't
midfield?
care that he's got a hat-trick next week. I'm not putting him back because he's shown. Because even watching most of the games, you realize his positioning is not on point. Pre-season, I was fooled. I think I was even telling you, you guys need to watch in Spain. He was destroying defenders.
In
However,
Villarreal.
football in Spain is very different from football in England. I realized here his link-up play is slow, his anticipation is slow, and it was tedious even watching Chelsea games. Hey, that game was boring. Wow, 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 wow. Hey. Yeah, so him, no. I'll wait for some. They're more deserving players. Other than then, now Chelsea are not scoring. So
That's
the only
true.
two sure things Chelsea players I'm going to leave Sterling, tried and tested in the Premier League for City, for
Yeah.
Liverpool, and now he can be for Chelsea. Gusto is in my team because it's cheap. Only reason because when Mr. Right back comes back, you know who I'm talking about.
Mr. What's it
You know
called?
who I'm
Reece James.
This James comes back. You see, I would have picked him because he takes set pieces. He's attacking. I don't know much about Gusto other than him being cheap. That's it.
Yeah. No, yeah. He's a placeholder. Everybody knows as soon as Reece James comes back, he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone very quickly.
Okay. Now, I wanted to ask you a different question.
Yes.
Have you noticed any patterns so far in the Premier League that are influencing your fantasy team? Like it could be
Mm,
Haaland scoring, or I don't know, just something that you're seeing that maybe others are not seeing.
what I can say of what I've observed, maybe it's a thing of there have been more goals scored this season. That's all I can say. And that's why I kept insisting that it's a midfielders league now. The midfielders are really making a big jump from the traditional, let's say 4-4-2, where you have your two strikers. And it's just like basketball, where now everyone just shoots 3 pointers. The big man is no longer there. Here
Mm,
we're looking at this sudden shift. Because before you start thinking of putting a striker, you have to think, okay, this guy, will he start? Will he do this? There are so many variables compared to a midfielder who's starting in the team. You know, either he's going to have an assist or a goal. Gone are the days when you just have an assist, they're sticking to their position, midfielders are attacking more, or let's say even more, the defensive part of the game that they had is no longer there.
mm,
I mean, you even have people like Declan Rice going hard and scoring.
yeah.
Of course, English media, the field day with that.
A week ago or two, I was saying that I'm going
Yeah,
to be moving to a 3-5-2 formation for fantasy.
yeah, exactly. Because, yeah, you have to fill your midfield. It's one of the things we can't avoid now. It has to be either you, depending on the teams that are playing, are you confident that your strikers can get something out for you?
Mm,
But more people are banking on midfielders because a goal is worth more for them. Yes, an assist is less points, but if they hit two, goal and assist, that's points. Compared
interesting.
to a striker who just gets a goal and an assist, which is less points when
Yeah.
you think about it. So a striker essentially has to score more for it to be bankable. But midfielders and fullbacks, that's where the money is. As you can see, all you need to have is, if you're lucky enough, you can have one good defender, actually two good defenders, four good midfielders, and just one striker. Because the
Okay.
guys you thought that would give you points, Mr. Aston Villa, Ollie
Or
Watkins,
Diaby or Oli Watkins.
Ollie Watkins, he did so much for me in my testing run last season. Last season, I came in halfway through the season, and there were certain guys who gave me points and impressed. So I thought, hey, maybe this season they're going to pull their weight. However, last season is not the season, and there are new kids on the block. Like Awoni last season was terrible, but this
Mm,
season you can see it's going to be his season.
interesting.
There are very few guys who are constant. Madison, that's a quality midfielder. It doesn't matter which team you put him in, he's going to play well. He has that mindset to adapt very quickly and make himself the focal point of the attack. Mitoma, we don't need to say much. Sterling, tried and tested. Saka, the same. Even his teammates look up to him. The City guys, Alvarez, I was a big doubter, and you can even hold me to that. I was not a big fan,
Yeah.
but if someone keeps proving you wrong, you have to give them the chance. Haaland, say less. As for the fullbacks, I've already
Yeah. We've
said
spoken
enough.
about that. Now, let me
Yes,
ask you a
yes. So,
question.
yes.
What about Mr. Heung-min Son?
Son, Son takes me back to the days of, when you had those partnerships like, remember Chelsea days, early, this a while back,
What,
Jimmy
Hasselbank and
Floyd and
Gudjohnsen?
yes, you see, there's that, you have Dwight York and Cole. Once you have that partnership and then it's taken away, then your your replacement is Richarlison. I'm sorry. Son is a guy who vibes with another teammate. And
Okay.
if the teammate is a forward, then that synergy works for the team until he finds the Robin with the Batman. He's a big question because Madison is now taking up the mantle that Son had with Hurricane.
Okay, but this
Yeah,
last game, they removed Richarlison from the starting lineup completely.
yeah. You see now
And
that
mhm,
kind of this is like the same thing with Arsenal, where you remove the silly defensive setup, bring back Gabriel. We leave it for 1 week. Once again, you don't just throw in players just because of the past. You think he's just going to shine. He had a good game week. I'll give him that.
yeah.
But he also has to start hitting 3 game weeks in a row.
So you're
Then you'll
waiting
be
to
like,
see
okay,
more
Son is
consistency
back.
from him.
Yeah. Like if this coming game week, if I see him doing what Son does, because now they're playing Spurs.
No,
And I mean, sorry, they're playing Sheffield United, my bad.
yeah.
Spurs, and they're at home. So it would be a good thing. But now I've already put Madison.
Okay.
That's the thing. And if it came to, for example, free kicks, Madison is the taker. That one I can
Mhm.
tell you. Just like at Leicester, he was the specialist. So at least, even when it comes to corners, he'll take them, which is a good thing.
So you're not believing
So
in this new partnership between him and Mano Solomon?
you see, so this Solomon business, I don't know much about him, but
Hmm.
like I said, they had one good game week. The idea of just falling for someone in a day, it's like getting married to someone after 2 days. No, no, no. That's
It's a
why
trap.
this thing, yeah, it's like this thing. I think my sister watches. It's called 90 Day Fiance. That's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
nonsense. Yeah, it's the same thing. You don't see one happy week, then you're like, oh, this is the guy for me. Then he'll go and get 1 point or get injured. No, 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 no. Then you've gone and spent minus you what? Nah. Let him prove himself. Everyone has to prove themselves for them to get a shot. And Madison has done it. This is the second game week, yes? He's gotten points. Or is
Yeah,
it third?
yeah. He's
Yeah,
been very consistent.
exactly. So until that breaks, just like Sterling, who gave me, what was it, 16 points or something?
Yeah, it was
The day
19,
he.
I think.
Yes. So until he plays poorly the next 2 games,
Mm.
then I'll consider his position, either on the bench or I replace him now with Ward-Prowse. Ward-Prowse is just waiting.
He's waiting in
Yeah,
the wings.
clicking behind the heels. Yeah, he's just there waiting, just like a set piece. He's waiting to take for someone to be fouled outside the box. Once he gets that chance, he's in. Get in.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to fellow managers? Like, for example, Bonadabs, who's scraping at the bottom.
uh, I have the honor of hearing his selection process, and it's purely on emotion. What I'm just talking about. He does not look at the previous stats. He does not even take time to even understand the players. For him, he's like, this guy got 10 last week. I'm putting him.
Mm,
That's his selection. I'd like to impart some knowledge and tell him, in a thing that brings a lot of joy to many players in the world, you have to also take time to understand it.
mm,
You don't just play just for the fun of playing, and also have an end goal. Do you want to be a casual player? Do you want to be a serious player? Do you want to be the winner of a little pot set up in your leagues? Let's say there's a 10K pot. Do you want to get half of it? Do you want all of it? Because
mm.
that's what makes fantasy exciting. There's something at the end of the tunnel. For me, mine was I recently came across a fantasy league for the sporting houses, Betika and Sport Pesa.
Mhm.
and they actually give you prizes monthly based on your
Wow.
position. Yeah. Like Betik, I think it's 30,000 if you lead. Let's say this one, I unfortunately couldn't make it because of my silly mistake of leaving 20
Bitumen
something points.
estupinian.
Yes, yes, yes. It cost me dearly because now that added up and now I'm way off the top. But yeah, every month, as long as you keep picking, grinding, you can end up with first, second, and third position, and you get some money for those efforts that you put in, taking your time, scouting for players, looking at the stats, watching games. At least there's something to get out of it.
Okay.
And also bragging rights. That's what makes it fun.
So you'd
But to answer your
say,
question with Mr. Bwana Dubs,
yeah.
take your time. I mean, everyone says they have no time, but there's plenty of time. If you don't
Okay.
want to spend it watching a movie, take 30 minutes making your team and assessing, and it will pay off in the end.
Okay. So you're saying have a goal
Yeah,
that you are following and that you're looking towards.
yes.
And then you're also saying don't make any rush decisions.
Yeah, emotions get
Yeah. Try
That's what,
to take the emotion
yeah.
out of it. Don't play with your heart so much.
No, 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 no.
And then try to do some research.
Yes, it doesn't hurt. We're not saying don't be just research intensive. Sometimes that will never go your way. Because even if you've ever dabbled in any form of gambling, poker, let's even sports betting, the minute you introduce emotions, yeah, that's going to really go against
Everything
you.
crumbles.
Yeah, everything crumbles. Yeah, yeah. So just do what you can. Remember, it's a fun activity.
Yeah.
It's a fun activity with your mates, with even strangers you get to meet and talk shop. And you never know, even from just being in fantasy alone, you can have a discussion with the one man here, this host of ours, and you never know. You might exchange numbers, you get to know each other, you have job opportunities for each other. So let's call it a community that you can actually benefit from, not just socially, but also financially, emotionally, whatever you want to call it. But that's the whole point of games and
Yeah.
everything in general.
Building
Yeah,
a
community.
community.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So I've got one last
Mm.
question for you.
Yes.
Your team name is Hans Gruber. Why? Tell me the story behind that.
For me, I'm an action buff, and
A
if
movie
you've
lover.
come across, yeah, 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 if you're if you've come across certain 90s, 80s flicks,
Mm-hmm.
you'll know that those are a bad man, arguably one of the most devious
Villains.
villains of all time from Die Hard. He was called Hans Gruber. That guy was zero emotion and up to task. Exactly what I'm doing.
So you have zero emotion and you're up to task.
Up to task. That's why
Oh,
when I said start this research, just do what is required of you to get your thing done. So he was like that. The only thing he came across a slayer. That was Bruce Willis. We all know John McClane. Yeah.
yes, we do.
So the only person who's going to stop me is probably now the guy who's going to take position one. That's my John McClane. So just know
Okay, so
there
currently
are
it's
two ways.
Mr. Leon Mortier. Why are you
Yeah,
running?
Leon.
That is his team.
Wait, why are you running? In
Hmm?
fact,
He's
that's a
running away
good.
from you.
Yeah, yeah, he better because now there's a target on his back, eh?
Mm.
And just know the good guys don't always win, eh? So for him, I'll not call him Leon. I'll call him John.
Hmm.
Since I'm Hans Gruber, is my John McClane now.
Yeah.
Nitakupata tu. Your days are numbered, eh? Smiling up at the top over there. When I get you, you'll just be eating dust
Okay.
with your yeah, yeah.
All right. So I just want to say thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been an honor
Oh,
to
you're
host you.
welcome.
And thank you
Thank you
for
very
making this
much.
league much more interesting.
Oh yeah, I've come here to shake this tree, this fantasy tree. Before I didn't take it that seriously, but now I've come to realize that it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, and other than sometimes it forces you also to watch other games
Yeah.
you'd never consider watching. Why would I watch Bournemouth versus Bournemouth? Which game was it this past week?
Bournemouth versus was it
Bournemouth.
Sheffield? No, no,
I don't
it was
know.
Everton Sheffield.
But just know when it's a boring game, you're like, you know what? But I have a player in that team, so it
True.
gives you, that space to also enjoy other unknown players
Yeah. And new
who
teams and
you'll
different
get to
styles of
know
football.
over time. Yeah, it's not only about watching Arsenal and City or Man U. Yeah, let's get to know other players, enjoy the football, and also maybe you might consider also having a La Liga fantasy.
Yeah, we'll
I
see. We'll
think
see. We'll give it a go.
yeah,
Why not?
over
We
time.
can expand.
That I can think it's good Messi and Cristiano are out because
Would have
that
been
would
too
have been
easy.
fun. Yeah, it would have been now it's a bit more open. At least now you can know there'll be plenty of competition. But that would be a good idea.
Okay, we'll see what we can do. Okay, George, thank you so much for joining us. I hope to
Thank
talk
you,
to you
Nash.
again.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for hosting me, and I'll see you in the next one.
All right. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.